I used to think my marriage was boring in the best way. Predictable, safe, almost comforting. We had routines that never changed. Same alarm every morning, same quiet kitchen before sunrise, coffee brewing while the world outside was still half asleep. We'd sit across from each other at the table, scrolling our phones, exchanging small comments about work, traffic, coworkers we didn't even like that much. It wasn't romantic, but it felt stable. At night, we'd lie in bed exhausted in the same way, sharing the same ceiling, the same silence. No fireworks, no passion you see in movies. And I thought that was real love. I believe that after years together, love becomes quieter, that it doesn't need constant reassurance or excitement. That comfort means you've made it. If you had asked me back then how my marriage was, I would have said we were fine. Not perfect, just fine. And fine felt like enough. Looking back now, I realize that was the last time my life felt normal. The first thing that changed wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. It was her tone. She laughed less around me, not all at once. Not enough to trigger alarm, just a little less every week. Her replies got shorter. Conversations ended faster. She started saying, "I'm tired" a lot. Too tired to talk. Too tired to watch something together. Too tired to explain what was wrong. I told myself it was stress, work stress, life stress, adult responsibilities. Anything but us. Because admitting it was us meant admitting something was breaking, and I wasn't ready for that. We didn't fight. That was the strange part. There were no big arguments, no raised voices, no slammed doors, nothing obvious. Just distance. A quiet, uncomfortable distance that grew so slowly I almost convinced myself it wasn't there. She stayed on her phone longer, took it everywhere: bathroom, kitchen, bed. If I walked into the room, she'd angle the screen away without even realizing she was doing it. I noticed. I just didn't want to notice. Because noticing meant asking questions, and questions meant answers I was afraid of. Then the routine started to crack. She began coming home later, not suddenly, not suspicious enough to accuse her of anything, just late enough to feel wrong. 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes more. There was always an explanation: work drinks, a coworker needing advice, someone's birthday, someone I'd never heard of before. New names kept appearing in her stories. I nodded, said okay, pretended everything made sense. But my gut didn't agree. It whispered things late at night when I couldn't sleep, things I kept pushing away. One night, she fell asleep with her phone unlocked. That almost never happened. The screen glowed on the nightstand, lighting up the dark room. Notifications stacked on top of each other. I didn't grab it right away, I just stared at it. I told myself that looking would make me a bad husband, that invading her privacy would cross a line I couldn't uncross. But not looking felt worse. Not looking felt like betraying myself. So I picked it up, and time slowed down. I didn't read much, I couldn't. My hands were shaking too badly, just enough. Messages filled with inside jokes that weren't ours. Nicknames she had never used with me. Compliments she hadn't given me in years. My chest felt hollow, like something collapsed inward. I remember thinking, maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Maybe this looks worse than it is. Maybe there's context I'm missing. Maybe I'm paranoid. But deep down, I already knew. The dates lined up. The late nights, the emotional distance, the changed routines. There was no message that said, "I'm cheating." It was worse. It was obvious without being said. I sat there in the dark, holding her phone, realizing my marriage was already over, even though she was sleeping next to me. I waited until morning. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted one last night where everything wasn't officially destroyed yet. When I finally asked her, my voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded small. She laughed at first, actually laughed, said I was being paranoid, that I was imagining things, that I always overthink. That laugh hurt more than the truth would have. Then she went quiet. No anger, no yelling, just silence. And then tears. Not for me, for herself. She said it just happened, that she didn't plan it, that she was confused, that she didn't mean to hurt me. I remember how calm the room felt and how completely shattered I was inside it. After that, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went numb. I went to work like nothing happened, smiled at coworkers, answered emails, sat in meetings pretending my world hadn't collapsed. At night, I stared at the ceiling, replaying years of memories like evidence in a courtroom. Every conversation, every missed sign, every time I felt something was off and ignored it, I blamed myself for not being exciting enough, for getting comfortable, for trusting too easily. I wondered how long I'd been sharing my life with someone who wasn't really there. Sleep became optional. Food tasted like cardboard. The worst part wasn't the betrayal, it was realizing how alone I felt while still being married. I'd lie next to her and feel like a stranger in my own bed. Days passed like that, empty, heavy. One night, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I barely recognized myself. I looked tired, smaller, like I had been shrinking to fit into a version of myself that wouldn't cause problems. Like I had been slowly erasing parts of who I was just to keep the peace. And I thought, if I stay like this, I disappear. That thought terrified me more than leaving ever could. I didn't leave in anger. I didn't yell or accuse or make dramatic speeches. I left quietly, with honesty. It hurt. It still does. But the pain finally felt real. And it felt like mine. If you're watching this and something feels wrong in your relationship, listen to that feeling. Love shouldn't make you doubt your reality, and loyalty shouldn't be something you have to beg for. I lost my marriage, but I found myself again. And sometimes that's not the end. Sometimes that's the beginning.